I was going to lose everything. That was the only thought in my head as my heels slammed against the concrete and my lungs burned like they were tearing themselves apart. The contract folder was pressed to my chest. My coat hung halfway off one shoulder. My hair was coming loose from its clip, strands whipping across my face in the freezing morning wind. And the jet was already boarding. Not my jet. I didn't know that yet. All I knew was that the black luxury aircraft at the end of the private tarmac was the only plane still connected to the terminal. And if I missed this meeting, my career, everything I had spent 10 years bleeding for was finished. Welcome to Floxy's Shifter Romance Tales. Before we dive in, I'd love your support. Can we hit 200 likes on this story? Also, subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me where you're listening from. Your engagement means everything to me. Now let's begin. I was Brina Hale. Junior partner track. Corporate law. Mergers and acquisitions. The girl who never slept, never dated, never said no. Today was my one shot. The Eastbrook mining acquisition. One meeting. One signature. One chance to step into the life I had destroyed myself to earn. And my rideshare had gotten lost. So I ran. Past security shouting after me. Past 2 stunned ground crew members. Past a man who called, "Ma'am, this is a restricted." I didn't stop. The jet door was still open. Warm air spilled out like an invitation. I took the steps 2 at a time, burst into the cabin, and nearly collided with a wall of black. A man stood in the aisle. Tall, broad, dressed in an immaculate charcoal suit. White shirt. No tie. Dark hair brushed back like he had stepped out of a billion-dollar magazine spread. For half a second, my brain registered handsome. Then stress crushed everything else. I ripped my coat off my arm and threw it at his chest. "Coffee," I snapped breathlessly. "Black. Now. And tell the pilot we are late." The coat hit him. He caught it. The jet went silent. Not awkward silent. Grave silent. The kind of silence that presses against your ears. I was too busy gasping for air to notice. I bent forward, hands on my knees, sucking in breath after breath. "Unbelievable," I muttered. "Every damn time. You people never have anything ready. You just assaulted my king." The voice did not belong to the man in front of me. It came from somewhere behind. Low. Controlled. Deadly. I froze. Slowly, I straightened. Finally looked up. The man was still holding my coat. He hadn't moved. Hadn't blinked. Hadn't spoken. He was watching me. And something in his eyes, something dark and measuring, made my stomach drop. He was not a flight attendant. He was not staff. He was not amused. He was still. Like a predator deciding whether something was worth killing. My mouth opened. Closed. My throat felt dry. "I'm sorry. I thought this is gate C12, right?" No one answered. I looked around. That was when I saw them. 2 men seated near the windows. Massive. Identical black suits. Earpieces. Rigid posture. Security. This was not a commercial jet. This was not even a corporate charter. This was something else. The man in front of me finally spoke. His voice was quiet. Warm. Terrible. "You boarded my plane," he said. "Not a plane. My plane." My pulse started to pound. "I think there's been a misunderstanding," I said quickly. "I'm late for a flight to Chicago. If you could just point me back to." He lifted one hand. The cabin door closed. The hydraulic seal hissed. Locked. My head snapped toward the sound. A spike of unease slid straight down my spine. "What are you doing?" I asked. He didn't answer me. He didn't even look at me. He looked past me, toward the cockpit, and lifted 2 fingers. The pilot, visible through the glass, went rigid, then nodded, and the engines began to whine. "No," I breathed. No, wait." The plane moved. Slowly at first, then faster. The floor vibrated under my feet. Panic punched into my ribs. "Stop the plane," I said sharply. "You've made a mistake. I'm not supposed to be here." He stepped closer. 1 pace, then another. I backed up until my spine hit the bulkhead. He was tall enough that I had to tilt my head to keep him in view. Up close, he was worse. Sharp cheekbones. Dark stubble shadowing his jaw. eyes so dark they almost swallowed the cabin lights. Not cruel. Not angry. Intent. "You threw your coat at me," he said. I was stressed, I shot back. "I thought you were staff." I apologized. He studied my face. Slowly. Like he was reading something written under my skin. "You are late," he murmured. "Yes." "You are rude. Under pressure." "You are fearless," he said. That one confused me. "I'm standing on a plane that is stealing me," I snapped. "That's not fearlessness. That's shock." Something almost like amusement flickered across his face. "Most people," he said, "drop to their knees when they realize who I am." "I don't know who you are," I said. "And frankly, I don't care. Turn the plane around." He smiled. "Just barely." "You will," he said, "when you land." The jet lifted. My stomach dropped. The ground vanished. And suddenly, horribly, we were airborne. I grabbed the nearest seat to steady myself. "What is wrong with you?" I demanded. "Open the door. Let me off. I will see you into the ground." A quiet sound left his throat. A low exhale that might have been laughter. "Lawyer," he said thoughtfully. "How did you?" "Your bag," he said, nodding to the leather tote clutched to my side. "Hale and Mercer. Corporate litigation." My grip tightened. "Who are you?" I asked. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he handed me back my coat, took a step closer, and lowered his voice. "My name is Zaden." The way he said it felt heavy. "I am the Alpha King of the Eastern Pack." I stared at him, then barked a laugh. "Okay, right. And I'm the Queen of England. Let me off your cosplay jet." No one laughed. Not the guards. Not the pilot. Not him. Zaden tilted his head. And in that moment, something about his face changed. Not visibly, but viscerally. The air felt thicker. Hotter. My skin prickled. "Sit down, Brina Hale," he said quietly. My knees buckled. Not metaphorically. Actually. My body folded into the nearest seat like someone had cut the strings. Heart slamming. Breath shallow. Shock tearing through my system. I hadn't chosen to sit. My body had obeyed him. Zaden watched me with something dark and unreadable in his eyes. "Good," he said. "We will get along." I forced my hands into fists. "You can't do this," I whispered. "You can't just take people." "I can," he replied. And I just did. The plane climbed. The city shrank. And I realized with terrifying clarity. I had not boarded the wrong flight. I had been taken. And the man standing in the aisle was not a billionaire. Not a recluse. Not even human. He was something far more dangerous. And for some reason I didn't yet understand, he was watching me like he'd just found something he intended to keep. I didn't move for a long time. I couldn't. My body was sitting in a wide leather seat I didn't remember choosing, hands gripping the armrests so tightly my fingers had gone numb. My pulse was everywhere, in my ears, in my throat, between my ribs. The jet hummed around me, smooth and unreal, like nothing had happened. But everything had happened. Across the aisle, Zaden stood exactly where he'd been when I collapsed into the seat. One hand rested lightly on the back of a chair. The other hung loose at his side. He looked calm. Too calm. Like he hadn't just commanded my body into obedience. Like he hadn't just kidnapped me. "You can't do this," I said again, because my mind kept circling that sentence like if I repeated it enough times, reality would reset. "Whatever you think you are, this is illegal. I'm a lawyer. I will destroy you." His gaze flicked to my clenched hands. Then to my throat, where my pulse betrayed me. Then back to my eyes. "You are shaking," he observed. "Because you drugged me or something," I snapped. "People don't just fall into chairs when someone talks." "People do," he corrected, "when their bodies recognize authority older than law." My stomach twisted. "Sit somewhere else," I said. "I don't want you standing over me." One of his brows lifted. Slowly, deliberately, he moved, not away, but into the seat across from me. The jet was arranged like a private lounge. Cream leather. Dark wood. Soft lighting. No overhead bins. No cramped rows. This wasn't a plane. It was a throne room with wings. He folded into the seat with lazy control, long legs stretching out, one ankle resting on his knee. For the first time, I noticed the dog. A Basset Hound lay sprawled across the seat beside him like a melted loaf of bread. Long ears. Droopy eyes. Expression permanently offended by the universe. It lifted its head, looked at me, and immediately began wagging its tail so hard its entire body thumped against the seat. The contrast nearly broke my brain. That, I said hoarsely, pointing, is not what I expected. Zaden glanced down. His mouth curved. Onyx, he said. Do not encourage strangers. The dog ignored him and hopped down, waddling across the aisle with shocking speed for something shaped like a throw pillow, and planted its front paws on my knee. Its tail wagged. Its eyes went soft. It sniffed my sleeve, sneezed, then leaned its full weight against my leg like we were lifelong companions. I froze. You need to get your dog, I said carefully. I don't know him. He knows you, Zaden replied. Onyx made a pleased sound and sat on my foot. Of course he did. This is insane, I muttered. You boarded a stranger's jet, assaulted him, and ordered coffee, Zaden said calmly. Insanity began before takeoff. I thought you were staff. Why? Because no one who looks like you should be standing in an aisle, I shot back. You look like you walked out of a hostile takeover. His eyes warmed. You see. I see what? Things others do not, he said. They see money. Status. Threat. You saw a man in your way. I didn't know why that unsettled me. What happens now? I demanded. The question hung between us. Outside the windows, clouds rolled past in thick white rivers. Zaden studied me in silence. Onyx's tail kept thumping. You are late for something important, he said finally. Yes. What was it? I hesitated. Then, against my better judgment, I answered. A closing meeting, I said. The biggest case of my career. If I miss it, I lose my chance at partnership. You believe your worth lives in a contract. I believe my future does, I snapped. Zaden leaned back. Tell me what happens if you lose. The question caught me. I opened my mouth. Closed it. Then exhaled. I stay where I am, I said. Working 80-hour weeks for men who take credit for my work. Watching people younger than me pass me because they're easier to package. Smiling while they call me aggressive instead of brilliant. His gaze sharpened. And if you win? I stop being invisible, I said quietly. The words surprised me. They tasted like truth. Zaden didn't look away. Onyx whined softly. Something heavy shifted in the air. You are already not invisible, he said. To you, I scoffed. 5 minutes ago you didn't even know my name. I knew, he said. I stilled. What? You were scheduled to argue against one of my shell companies last year, he said. The case was quietly settled before you entered court. My stomach sank. You, what? You were supposed to lose, he said. You did not. I stared. That was you. Yes. You cost my firm $30 million. You cost my board 3 executives, he replied. I let out a stunned, breathless laugh. You've been watching me? I have been aware of you. That's worse. Is it? Yes. His lips curved faintly. Most humans beg to be noticed by me. I don't want anything from you, I said. I want to go home. You will, he replied. When? When the mountain opens. What mountain? Zaden reached out. Rested 2 fingers lightly against the window. Outside, the cloud cover thinned. White gave way to endless dark peaks dusted in snow. Something massive rose in the distance. A jagged fortress of black stone and glass embedded into the side of a mountain like a crown. My breath caught. What is that? My estate. No, I said immediately. No, absolutely not. You will stay there, he continued, unbothered. Until the storm passes. What storm? He tapped the glass once. Far below, lightning forked through clouds. Snow systems rolled over the peaks like living things. A blizzard, he said. No flights in or out for at least 4 days. My chest tightened. You planned this. I allowed it. You trapped me. I removed variables. I stood abruptly. Onyx hopped off my foot. You don't get to do this, I said, voice shaking. I am not some fantasy creature you collect. I am a person. I have a job. A life. Zaden stood as well. The space between us closed. Not because he stepped forward. Because the room suddenly felt smaller. You have a life that is killing you, he said. You don't know anything about my life. I know you boarded a jet without looking at the logo, he said softly. I know you threw your coat at a stranger instead of asking for help. I know your hands are shaking not because you are afraid of me, but because for the first time in years you are not in control. My throat tightened. That doesn't give you the right. I am not asking for your consent to be here, he interrupted. I am offering you the truth. And what truth is that? I demanded. That nothing in your world happened by accident, he said. Including this. Something in his eyes shifted. Darkened. Onyx whined again, louder. You are not my prisoner, Zaden continued. You are my interruption. I swallowed. I don't know what that means. You will. The jet dipped slightly. The estate loomed closer. Glass walls glinted like ice. And as the mountains rose to meet us, a strange, impossible thought slid into my mind. I didn't feel like prey. I felt like something that had wandered into a story already in motion. Something that didn't belong, but had been expected. Onyx barked, then trotted back to Zaden. Saturday. And wagged his tail at me like he had just found his person. Zaden looked down at him, then back at me. My truth detector does not lie, he said. You're what? He hates everyone, Zaden replied. Except what is real. My stomach flipped. I'm not real, I said. You are, he answered. That is the problem. The jet began its descent. And somewhere between the clouds and the mountain, I realized something far more terrifying than being kidnapped by a billionaire. I was being brought somewhere I might not want to leave. The landing was so smooth I barely felt it. One moment we were suspended between clouds and jagged peaks, the world reduced to white wind and steel-gray sky. The next, the jet's wheels kissed the private runway carved into the mountain like a blade wound. No terminal. No hangars. Just a stretch of black concrete wrapped in snow and ice, floodlights burning through the falling flakes like watchful eyes. The engines powered down. Silence rushed in. Not city silence. Mountain silence. The kind that made your ears ring. I stayed seated. My hands were in my lap. Onyx was already on his feet, tail wagging, nails clicking excitedly against the aisle floor. Zaden stood, adjusted his cuffs, unbothered, unhurried, like he hadn't just transported me to the edge of the world. We've landed, I said. Yes. You're not going to let me leave, are you? Zaden glanced over his shoulder. No. The door opened. Cold air swept in, sharp and clean and punishing. It carried the scent of snow, pine, and something darker beneath it. Stone. Metal. Wildness. I hugged myself reflexively as the temperature cut through my clothes. Zaden shrugged out of his suit jacket and, without asking, draped it around my shoulders. It was warm from him. Heavy. Smelled faintly of something deep and dangerous I couldn't place. I don't need. You do, he said. I hated that he was right. The stairs extended. Below them waited two black vehicles idling in the snow. And behind them, the estate. Up close, it wasn't just large. It was unreal. A massive structure of dark stone and glass embedded directly into the mountain face, like the peak had grown a palace from its bones. Waterfalls frozen mid-cascade framed the entrance. Tall vertical windows glowed gold against the storm. It didn't look built. It looked claimed. What is this place? I whispered. My seat of rule, Zaden replied. Rule of what? He looked at me. Really looked. You will see. I followed him down the stairs because there was nowhere else to go. Snow crunched under my shoes. The cold bit. Onyx trotted ahead, pleased as if he were escorting guests instead of a captive. One of the men opened the back door of the nearest SUV. Warm air poured out. Zaden gestured. Inside. I hesitated. What if I refuse? His gaze flicked to my face. Then you will freeze, he said simply. And I will still carry you in. I climbed inside. The drive was short but winding. The road carved back and forth across the mountain face, sheer drops disappearing into white nothingness beyond the windows. The estate loomed larger with every turn. By the time the vehicle stopped beneath the massive overhang of the entrance, my heart was in my throat. Zaden exited first. Held the door open. I stepped out. And stared. The entrance hall alone was the size of a cathedral. Stone columns soared into darkness. Glass walls revealed the storm tearing across the mountainside like a living thing. Fireplaces lined the far wall, flames dancing behind iron grates. The air inside was warm, scented faintly of smoke, evergreen, and something I could only describe as electricity. Onyx bounded in, skidding slightly on the polished black floor. His nails clicked. His tail wagged. He made a pleased sound deep in his chest and then abruptly veered. Straight into me. He pressed his long body against my legs, tail sweeping back and forth. Then, with zero hesitation, he flopped onto his back at my feet and exposed his stomach. I stared down. You have got to be kidding me. Zaden paused. Looked. Something crossed his face. Not amusement. Not surprise. Recognition. He has never done that, he said. I bent slowly. Hesitated. Then brushed my fingers tentatively over Onyx's belly. He sighed like he had just found heaven. His tail thumped. His paws twitched. Zaden watched like he was witnessing a minor miracle. What did you mean, I asked quietly, when you said he hates everyone except what is real? He was bred, Zaden said, to react to deception, to fear, to malice, to false submission. And he has tried to bite diplomats, he said. He growls at wolves. He despises my counsel. I looked down at the Basset Hound currently attempting to crawl into my lap. And me? He adores you. My stomach flipped. That strange sense of being out of place and expected tightened. Come, Zaden said. You will want to change. He led me deeper into the estate. The halls curved. Glass panels revealed sheer cliffs outside. Snow hurled itself against the walls. Inside, everything was stone, steel, and firelight. We passed no one. Not a servant. Not a guard. Not a sound. Do you live here alone? I asked. Yes. That's not normal. Neither is this, he replied, gesturing vaguely between us. He stopped before a tall black door, opened it, and stepped aside. Your rooms? I stared. They weren't guest rooms. They were an apartment. Living space. Bedroom. Kitchen. Fireplace. A massive window curved across the far wall, offering a view of the mountains so close it felt like they might press through the glass. A bed draped in dark linen sat near the fire. A sofa faced the window. A desk stood near the wall, empty. This is where I'm supposed to stay, I said. Yes. For how long? As long as the mountain keeps you. That's not an answer. The storm will decide, he said. I turned slowly in place. I want my phone. Zaden reached into his pocket. Held it up. I disabled external signal, he said. Internal network remains. You cut me off from the world. I cut the world off from you. That's kidnapping. That is protection. From what? His gaze sharpened. From those who would come when they learn you are here. My throat went dry. Who, I asked, would come for me? Zaden didn't answer. He stepped closer. Just one pace. Close enough that I felt his presence. Close enough that the air shifted. There are truths you cannot unhear, he said quietly. Once you see them, your life as it was ends. And you're deciding this for me. I am delaying it. Why? His eyes dropped. To my mouth. Then lifted again. Because you deserve a moment of not running. Something in his voice, low, restrained, controlled, made my breath hitch. I don't need saving, I said. I know, he replied. That is why this is complicated. Onyx waddled past him and immediately leapt onto the sofa like he owned it. Zaden glanced at him. Then back to me. Food will be brought, he said. Clothes. You may lock the door. And you. I will be near, he said. Why? He hesitated. Just a fraction. Because the mountain is not the only thing that will open. Then he turned. Left. The door closed behind him. I stood in the center of the massive, beautiful, terrifying room. Alone. Except for a Basset Hound snoring on the sofa, like he had found his rightful throne. I exhaled. Slowly. Walked to the window. Outside, the blizzard howled. White erased the world. No city. No tarmac. No escape. I touched the glass. It was warm. Inside, fire crackled. Behind me, silence pressed in. I was trapped in a palace carved into a mountain. With a man who claimed to be a king. and a dog who had decided I was safe. I should have been planning, plotting, threatening lawsuits. Instead, my chest felt tight with something dangerously close to anticipation. I turned away from the window, and that was when I saw it. The reflection. For half a second, in the glass, behind my own face. Something tall, broad, not human. Gone the instant I spun around. The room was empty. My skin prickled. My pulse raced. "Get it together, Brina," I whispered. But my voice echoed too loudly. And in the quiet that followed, one thought pressed forward with terrible clarity. Whatever Zaden was hiding, it wasn't metaphor. And this mountain was not just stone and glass. It was a cage for something old. And I was standing inside it. The mountain did not sleep. I learned that within the first hour. The storm did not fade into background noise the way city rain did. It roared. It scraped. It hurled itself against the glass like something alive and angry that resented being kept out. Wind screamed through unseen passes. Snow rattled across the windows in sheets. The fortress groaned faintly around me, stone answering pressure like the slow breath of something massive. I sat on the edge of the bed, Zaden's suit jacket still around my shoulders, my hands folded in my lap like I was waiting for a verdict. Onyx snored. Full body, ears flopped, paws twitching. The sound was absurdly comforting. A soft knock came at the door. I stiffened. "Come in," I called. The door opened. A woman stepped inside. She was tall, dark-skinned, her silver-streaked hair braided close to her scalp. She wore simple black clothing and carried a folded bundle of fabric. "I am Mara," she said calmly. "I oversee the house." Of course he had staff. Of course he just hadn't shown them. "These are for you," she added, setting the bundle on the bed. "And food." A tray followed. Soup. Bread. Something roasted and fragrant. My stomach betrayed me immediately. "Thank you," I said. She paused, studying me. Then her gaze flicked to Onyx. He lifted his head, looked at her, and growled. "Low." Warning. Mara didn't react. Just inclined her head slightly toward him. "Still honest, old one," she murmured. Then she looked back at me. "You are safe here," she said. "Whether you remain ignorant is your choice." And then she left. The door closed. I stared after her. "What does that even mean?" I muttered. Onyx huffed. I ate. Because whatever else was happening, I was human. And hungry. The soup warmed my chest. The bread was fresh. The meat tasted like something wild and clean. By the time I finished, some of the tightness inside me had eased. I stood. Explored the space. The bedroom opened into a massive bath of dark stone and steam. Towels were folded neatly. A robe waited on a hook. I hesitated, then stripped out of my clothes. They smelled faintly of jet fuel and stress. The water was hot enough to steal my breath. I sank into it and closed my eyes. For a few fragile minutes, I almost forgot. Then the lights dimmed. Not off. Lower. Like the fortress itself was settling. And in that quiet, I felt it again. That sense of being watched. Not from the corners. From the walls. From the bones of the place. I opened my eyes. Steam curled. Nothing moved. I exhaled. "You're tired," I told myself. But my reflection in the dark stone looked different. My eyes seemed brighter. My skin warmer. And beneath the surface of the water, my pulse glowed faintly against my wrist. I swallowed. Finished quickly. Wrapped myself in the robe. Returned to the bedroom. Onyx was sitting up. Alert. His tail was still. His ears hung low. He was staring at the door. A second later, the knock came. My heart jumped. "It's locked," I said automatically. "It's me." Zaden's voice. Low. Controlled. The door did not open. I hesitated, then crossed the room and unlocked it. He stood just inside the threshold. No suit. No jacket. Just a black shirt, open at the collar, sleeves rolled back. His hair was loose. His presence felt heavier. More real. "I didn't ask you to come," I said. "No," he replied. Onyx did. The dog rose. Crossed the room. Sat at Zaden's feet. Then looked back at me and wagged his tail once. "Traitor." Zaden's gaze flicked to my bare legs. Then up. Quick. Controlled. I came to establish rules, he said. Of course you did. You may leave your rooms freely, he continued. There are places you will not enter. Such as the lower caverns, the east wing, and anywhere sealed in black steel. Why? Because some doors do not open outward, he said. What happens if I open them? You learn why they were closed. That didn't help. Second, he continued, you will not wander outside. The storm is not the greatest danger on this mountain. Let me guess. You are. His mouth twitched. Third, he said, no one touches you without your consent. That includes you? Yes. Good. And finally, he said, his voice lowering, if you feel something strange, you tell me. Define strange. Heat. Pull. Pressure. Hunger. Fear without source. My stomach tightened. Why? Because those are not emotions, he said. They are responses. To what? To power. Silence filled the room. Onyx shifted uneasily. What are you? I asked. Zaden did not answer immediately. He studied me, like he was deciding whether I was strong enough to hear it. Then he lifted his hand. The lights dimmed further. The fire flared higher. And for a fraction of a second, the shadows behind him moved. Not like absence of light, like something large rearranging itself. I sucked in a breath. What did you just do? Let the house breathe, he said. That's not funny. I am not joking. My pulse thundered. You said billionaire, I whispered. Recluse. Alpha King. Those words mean nothing. They mean everything, he replied. Where I come from. Where is that? He stepped inside. The door closed behind him with a quiet finality. Do you believe, he asked softly, that humanity is the only civilization that learned to hide? Cold slid down my spine. You're talking about cults, I said. Or governments. I am talking about bloodlines, he replied. Predators. Packs. Orders older than your laws. Older than your species' cities. You expect me to believe werewolves exist, I said flatly. Zaden did not smile. Instead, he rolled up his sleeve and pressed 2 fingers to the inside of his forearm. The skin there shimmered. Not like light. Like depth. And then, it moved. Not muscle. Not vein. Something else rolled under the surface, like the outline of a massive limb passing beneath water. I stumbled back. What the hell is that? My second truth, he said. Show me. Zaden hesitated. Onyx whimpered softly. The storm howled outside. Zaden's jaw flexed. You will not sleep after, he warned. I won't sleep anyway, I said. Not with this hanging in the air. Silence. Then, Zaden exhaled. The room seemed to respond. The fire surged. The air thickened. And Zaden changed. Not violently. Not explosively. It started in his eyes. The dark irises bled into molten gold. His pupils sharpened. His shoulders broadened, fabric tightening. Bones shifted with a sound like distant thunder. Heat rolled off him in waves. The shadows behind him tore free from the walls. Not shadows. Fur. Massive. Dark. A shape rose where a man had stood. My breath locked. My heart tried to escape my chest. Standing before me was not a wolf. Not an animal. Not a monster. It was something tall as the ceiling, shoulders nearly brushing the stone arches, fur black as night, eyes molten gold and intelligent and impossibly old. A king. A predator. A presence. Onyx padded forward and sat, tail wagging. The creature lowered its massive head and spoke. Zaden's voice, layered through something deeper. I am what your myths warned you about, he said. And what your blood remembers. My knees gave. I hit the edge of the bed. Hands braced. My mind screamed. This was not possible. This was not real. This was. The massive form stepped back. Air shuddered. Bone reshaped. Heat withdrew. And a man stood where the beast had been, breathing slightly heavier. Eyes still gold. I did not bring you here to frighten you, Zaden said. Then why? I whispered. Because you boarded my jet, he replied. And my world does not believe in coincidence. My throat burned. What do you want from me? Zaden took one step closer. Then stopped. respecting the space he had promised. "I don't know," he said quietly. "Then why am I here?" "Because something in you walked onto my plane," he said, and something ancient stood up inside me. My pulse thundered. "And Onyx," he added, glancing at the dog, "has not left your side since." Onyx wagged. I stared at them both. At the impossible. At the fear. At the heat curling low in my stomach that had absolutely no right to be there. "You said some doors don't open outward," I whispered. Zaden's gaze darkened. "Yes. And which one did I walk through?" His voice dropped. "The kind that only opens once." Silence swallowed the room. The storm raged. And for the first time since I boarded the wrong plane, one thought eclipsed all others. I wasn't trapped in his world. I had crossed into it. And it was already closing behind me. I didn't sleep. Not really. My body lay on the bed. The fire burned low. The storm continued its relentless assault against the glass. But my mind stayed awake. Replaying gold eyes. Replaying fur and shadow. Replaying the way the air had bent around him when he shifted, as if reality itself had taken a cautious step back. Zaden was not a billionaire who ruled companies. He was a king who ruled something older. And I was inside his mountain. Onyx slept on the floor beside the bed, one ear twitching every time the wind screamed. Sometime before dawn, the fortress changed. I didn't hear footsteps. I felt them. A pressure through the stone. A distant vibration that slid into my bones. Onyx rose instantly. A low sound rumbled in his chest. Not a growl. A warning. I sat up. The lights along the walls pulsed once. Then again. Soft red. Then gold. Something was happening. I stood, pulling the robe tighter around me, and crossed to the door. Before I could touch it, it opened. Zaden stood there. Fully dressed. Jaw tight. Eyes already glowing. "Stay in the room," he said. "What's happening?" "Nothing you need to face." "Like hell," I snapped. "Something just walked through your mountain." His jaw flexed. "Yes." "What?" "Another alpha." The words landed like ice. "Here," I whispered. "Yes." "In a blizzard." "They are not hindered by storms," he said. "Only by permission." "And you didn't give it." "No." My stomach dropped. "Then how?" "They are strong," he said. "And they are desperate." "For what?" His gaze met mine. "For what is mine?" Cold slid down my spine. "You mean your territory." He hesitated. Then said, quietly, "I mean you." My breath left me. "That's not possible," I said. "You didn't even know I existed 24 hours ago." Zaden took one step closer. "And yet," he murmured, "my house opened when you entered it. My truth hound bonded to you. And something in my blood has not been silent since you stood on my jet." I shook my head. "You're projecting," I said. "Stress. Instinct. You don't get to rewrite my existence because your dog likes me." Onyx barked sharply. Zaden didn't smile. "This mountain," he said, "has been sealed for 50 years. No outsider has crossed its threshold and remained human in its presence." "That doesn't even make sense." "It will," he replied. "Soon." A deep tremor rolled through the floor. Dust drifted from the ceiling. Far away, something roared. Not wind. Not thunder. Something alive. Onyx whined. Zaden swore under his breath. "Stay," he ordered again. And this time I felt it. Not compulsion. Fear. Not for himself. For me. "You think I'm just going to wait in a room while monsters tear through your house?" I demanded. "They are not monsters," he said. "They are kings. And you're going to fight them alone." "Yes." "That's stupid." He blinked. Then something unexpected crossed his face. Amusement. "Humans," he murmured. "Always offended by the idea of their own helplessness." I stepped forward. "I'm not helpless." "You are unarmed," he said. "Fragile. Unbonded. And standing in a war you don't understand." "I am not fragile," I snapped. "I've survived things you don't even see. I built myself from nothing. I fought my way into rooms I wasn't meant to enter. And I will not be locked behind a door while you decide my fate." The mountain shook again. Closer. Zaden's gaze sharpened. "You are shaking," he observed. "Because I'm human," I shot back. "Not because I'm weak." Silence stretched between us. Then, Zaden reached out. Slowly. Not touching. Just stopping inches from my face. The air between us buzzed. You are the first thing, he said quietly, that has ever stood in front of me like this. My pulse roared. Good, I whispered. For a moment, the world narrowed. Storm. Fire. Gold eyes. And something else under it. Something that felt like gravity. Then Onyx barked again. Urgent. Sharp. Zaden exhaled. Stay behind me, he said. I thought you wanted me in the room. I want you alive. He turned. And walked into the hall. Against my better judgment. Against fear. Against everything sane. I followed. The fortress corridors no longer felt silent. They felt alert. Lights glowed brighter. Stone hummed faintly beneath my bare feet. We reached the central atrium. A massive vertical space where glass walls rose 4 stories high, revealing the blizzard and the cliff beyond. And there stood 3 men. Tall. Broad. Too still. Their eyes glowed in different shades of gold. Their presence bent the air. One smiled. Zaden, he called. Still hiding in your cave like a wounded animal. Zaden's body went rigid. Leave, he said. Not without her. All 3 gazes shifted. Locked onto me. The smile deepened. There she is, the man purred. The little human who opened the mountain. I felt suddenly, horribly exposed. You have no claim, Zaden growled. The man tilted his head. We felt it the moment your land woke, he said. The shift in the old lines. The stirring. Speak plainly, Zaden snapped. The man's eyes burned. You're dying, he said. And she is the interruption. My stomach dropped. What? I whispered. Zaden didn't look at me. His jaw tightened. You are failing, the man continued. Your beast is burning you from the inside. You cannot anchor it. That is why you sealed yourself away. Why you rule through walls and dogs instead of touch. Enough, Zaden said. And now, the Alpha went on softly, a human walks into your jet, and your territory wakes for the first time in decades. Cold realization slid into my chest. You're sick, I breathed. Zaden closed his eyes briefly. Cursed, he said. Unbalanced. My wolf is killing me. My heart lurched. That's not. She is stabilizing you, the Alpha said. We can feel it. Your land. Your house. Your beast. He took a step forward. You will hand her over, he said. And we will learn what she is. Zaden moved. So fast I barely saw it. The man was suddenly airborne. Stone cracked. The atrium shook. The others lunged. The world exploded into motion. Claws. Shouts. Roars that were not human. I stumbled back. Onyx barked furiously, placing himself in front of me like a living shield. Zaden shifted mid-strike. Shadow tore from him. The beast emerged like night unfolding. Massive. Burning. Gold eyes locking on his enemies. The fight was not elegant. It was ancient. Stone shattered. Glass spiderwebbed. Fur and blood flashed through firelight. The other alphas shifted as well, wolves larger than any animal had a right to be, crashing into him with terrifying force. Zaden roared. And the sound hit me like a wave. Not in my ears. In my chest. Something inside me answered. A pull. A heat. A pressure behind my ribs. Zaden was driven back. One alpha clamped onto his shoulder. Another raked his flank. Dark blood splattered across the stone. No, I whispered. Without thinking. I ran. Brina. Zaden roared. The closest alpha turned. His eyes met mine. And something in his expression sharpened. He lunged. Onyx threw himself forward, barking wildly. The alpha swiped. Onyx yelped and tumbled aside. My heart broke. And something inside me snapped. The pressure behind my ribs surged. Heat flooded my veins. The air around me vibrated. Stop, I said. My voice did not sound like mine. It rang. The alpha froze mid-motion. Every head turned. Zaden's massive form stilled. All eyes locked on me. I said stop, I whispered. The mountain answered. Stone groaned. The floor pulsed. A wave of force rippled out from me, invisible and undeniable. The alphas staggered back. Zaden slowly lowered his massive head. Gold eyes wide. What are you? The smiling alpha breathed. I looked down at my hands. They were glowing. Faint. Gold. Like his eyes. I don't know, I said honestly. But I knew one thing. Zaden was still bleeding. I ran to him. Pressed my hands to his fur. I don't know how to help you, I whispered. But I'm here. The heat in my chest poured out. Not like fire. Like light. Zaden shuddered. His massive form trembled. Then slowly. Shifted. The beast folded back into man. He collapsed his knees before me. Breathing hard. Wounds closing. Blood retreating. The other alphas stared. Horrified. Awestruck. The smiling one took a step back. You have bonded him, he whispered. Impossible. Zaden lifted his head. Gold eyes locked on mine. And for the first time since I met him, he looked unafraid. You are not my interruption, he said hoarsely. You are my answer. The other alphas retreated. Not defeated. Warned. They faded back into the corridors, their presence withdrawing like a storm pulling itself apart. Silence reclaimed the atrium. The fortress steadied. Onyx limped over and pressed against my leg. I dropped to my knees beside Zaden. You're sick, I said. And somehow, I'm not hurting you. You are anchoring me, he replied. I laughed weakly. That's not a thing. It is now. He lifted one hand. Did not touch my face. Stopped inches from it. I did not bring you here to make you mine, he said. I did not plan this, I whispered. I never do, he replied. When it matters. My pulse thundered. What happens now? Zaden rose slowly. Held out his hand. Not commanding. Not demanding. Offering. Now, he said, you decide whether you leave my mountain. Or whether you rule it with me. I stared at his hand. At the storm beyond the glass. At the impossible truth humming under my skin. And I realized something with terrifying clarity. I no longer wanted my old life back. Not the meetings. Not the contracts. Not the rooms where I had to make myself smaller. I placed my hand in his. The moment our skin touched, the fortress breathed. Deep. Satisfied. Zaden closed his fingers around mine. And in his eyes, I did not see a king who had taken something. I saw a man who had been waiting. Thank you for journeying with Floxy Shifter Romance Tales in this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share your favorite moment in the comments below. Until next time, may your own heart find its unexpected home.